2017. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Melvin Simpson of the First Church of God in Christ. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for all your many blessings, how you watched over us, Lord Jesus. And God, tonight, as we pray, we ask you to bless each and every one, Lord. Bless the lesser fortune, Lord. Bless us, our city in a special way, Lord. God, we need you tonight. We can't make it without you. Bless our land and our country. And God, be with us, God, and govern our minds, Lord, and keep us in your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yes, sir.
Tonight's consent agenda, City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, August 22nd, 2017, and 2017 appropriation ordinance number AO-17-17 in the amount of $2,098,453.90. Do we have any questions or amendments to our consent agenda?
No questions.
No questions?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance AO 17-17 for approval.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve the consent agenda as presented. Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
No old business, new business. Action to appoint one person to Planning Commission serving to January 1st, 2021. We have one applicant, Eric Jensen. Would you please approach the podium?
And Mayor, while he's coming up, I will say that we've had an unexpired term on the Planning Commission for several months, and the expiration would be, that term would expire January 1st of 2018. So this appointment will do the unexpired next 3 months, and then a new term. So
Okay.
it would actually go until January 1st of 2021.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Eric Jensen. As you may know, I've been in business in Coffeyville all my life. First my grandfather, then my father, and then me. A year ago, we sold our business, and which a lot of thought went into that after Southwire and Amazon left. I wanted to make sure that somebody was going to be here that's going to keep jobs in the community. So now I'm kind of moving on to the next phase of my life, and in all the times that I was running Jensen's, I had very little time outside of work and sleep. Me and my wife both. So I wanted to serve the community a little bit. I'm doing Meals on Wheels 1 day a week now, and I'm just looking to do something for Coffeyville.
So you chose the Planning Commission?
Well,
Or it chose you maybe, huh?
well, he kind of chose me. Actually, I chose the Planning Commission. There was an opening on the Corrections Board. My wife had done the DOC ministry before, and I tried to talk her into applying for that, but she said she didn't want to do that stuff anymore, so I'm here alone.
Do we have any questions from the commission?
No, well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, this is a little bit off base, but Eric, have we ever met?
Not formally, but I know who you are, Jim.
Okay, well, I 41 years in business, and you have too, and we never met.
Yeah,
Just kind of different for some reason.
yeah, I was kind of like my father. I stayed with my nose to the grindstone and let other people do the socializing part of the business.
Well, it's good to meet you, Eric.
Nice to meet you.
I knew some of the Jensens, JB and some of them, but I saw you on the agenda and I wondered who you were, and I didn't think we'd met, and I thought it was just a worthy note, but I'm glad to see you here and glad to see you get involved in the community.
Thank you. It looks
Absolutely.
to me from one applicant that we need people to be involved in the community.
I knew you
Definitely.
wrote a letter to the commission a time or two. It seemed like you'd wrote a letter about something, or I saw something, but I never had met you, but thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well,
Chris?
so we've got one opening now, and you say we got another one coming up.
No, this one would be to fill the unexpired term to January 1, 2018, plus a new 3-year term.
Okay,
Right.
And then this will fill the planning commission.
okay. Okay.
Chris?
I'll say one more thing that is on topic, okay? I don't know that much about the zoning, I'm learning, like some of us here, but how do you feel, what do you know about the planning? Quick conversation here, nothing, but what do you know about like or dislike or could change or, pro-business, this, that, what is it
Well,
you
I
bring
am-
to your
obviously,
opinion on things?
Obviously, I'm pro-business, but, Coffeyville has shrunk in the last several years since I've been around, and, which I've been around all my life, so. And I know planning and zoning is going to be an important part of whether the city grows or shrinks, and encouraging businesses to come in, and, we need people to come in to fill the jobs. Obviously, SP Foundry, after they taken over, has the same problem we had when we were there, is we couldn't get applicants. If we could get applicants, they either failed the drug test or didn't show up for work. So
Yep.
we need some good quality citizens to fill the jobs, and we need some good jobs to bring in new employees.
Definitely.
Are there any issues with the Planning and Zoning Commission at this time? Are there any issues or topics or anything?
There's nothing before them at this time.
So we're just filling a slot, everything's fine?
Correct.
Okay.
Move to approve, or move to appoint Eric Jensen to the planning commission serving until January 1st, 2021.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Castler to appoint Eric Jensen to the Planning Commission serving to January 1, 2021. Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams. Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye. Mr. Jensen, thank you for coming forward and stepping up to be part of a commission or be part of a board for the city. We do have a hard time getting some of these filled, so thank you.
Thank
For
you.
taking the time to do this.
Now, I just have one question. Will the committee get a hold of me on when the
Yes.
first meeting is? And
Yes.
Okay.
You will get a packet of information prior to the first meeting.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Moving on to resolution number R-17-65, a resolution to execute a lease agreement with the Coffeyville Area Chamber of Commerce. City Manager Kendall Francis will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, as you know, this is a holdover from our last meeting that we have a lease agreement with the Chamber of Commerce to utilize the Perkins building. And our current lease that we have on the books is 1976, so we've been working to update it to accurately reflect the business relation that we have with the Chamber. After our last meeting, you had expressed some concerns, some tweaks to the lease agreement itself, and the rental release, or their, and that's not a correct term, not a rental release, use agreement, that you wanted those two to marry each other. And Paul Kreitz has worked with that and made sure that they do, that they're in accordance. And so would bring this forward to you for your approval. I will just point out that as it sits now, it's designed to, it would take effect immediately after it's been executed. It would become effective immediately upon execution by both parties, and it's set for a 3-year term. And then two successive 3-year terms if you should so approve. I'd entertain questions about it.
I looked through it, and from what I could tell, everything was added that we asked to be added. And I'm assuming Paul went through everything with a fine-tooth comb and added what we asked to be added to it.
Yes.
Does anyone else have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number R-17-65 for approval.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-17-65 for adoption. Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Resolution number R-17-66, a resolution to approve submitting an application for a federal Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. Police Chief Quinn Bromley will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, the Police Department is seeking approval to submit for the application process for the 2018 Edward J. Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. We call it the JAG grant. As you recall, last year we approached the Commission seeking approval for the 2017 grant. We were awarded a partial grant. We utilized that grant to purchase crime scene lighting as well as rifle plates for the police officers. This year we're seeking approval to submit for the grant again to try to pick up the equipment that we were not able to purchase last year. This grant does not require a local match, and so once awarded, we'll purchase the equipment and the state will reimburse the police department and the city.
Okay. Well, it doesn't cost us any money, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, my first question would be, has there ever been one of these come up that the city denied approval for? I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it?
I have never known of the commission to ever deny
Right. I
the
just wonder
application process.
why we had to go through this process for that. I guess it's a legal thing, Paul, or,
It has to be approved by you for
Okay.
the application process.
okay. Well, there's the answer. Okay, I'm learning, okay? Okay, good. Well,
Any other
no
questions?
questions. No other.
I have a question. You came before the commission 4 months ago, 5 months ago, with a grant application for alcohol funds to purchase the very equipment that you're asking for tonight, and that was denied because it didn't meet the specifications for alcohol money. I asked that night, why are we applying for alcohol grants money for equipment that we should be buying on our own? And I was told that we have the money to buy that stuff on our own, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But here we are, 3 or 4, 5 months later, still haven't purchased it, and still haven't, now we're applying for another grant for stuff that we ought to be buying on our own.
I guess the decision, we thought it would be best, knowing that this grant was coming available, that utilize grant funds to make that purchase and save.
And meanwhile, we wasted 6 months not doing the job that we should be doing with this equipment. Because this is counter drug equipment. Obviously, we have a problem.
I guess the question would be to Chief Bromley, whether what we have now allow them to continue to effectively do what they needed to do. Yes, it's old and it needs updated. I believe that if he needed it immediately, we would have found the money in the budget to buy it immediately.
Is that, I mean, can you shed a little light on it?
And I'll touch base on that. When we had applied for the alcohol money for those funds and learned that it technically wouldn't it was prohibited because of the way that the wording of that alcohol money is to be utilized. I told the city manager at the time that the equipment that we had, even though it was old, it was working and that we could continue to utilize it. It's something that I have used for the last 15 years when I worked narcotics. And I did mention to him that the 2018 grant would be opening up in the fall of 2017, and that we were already approved for that piece of equipment last year. But because it was a partial awarding, we prioritized that equipment, and we felt that the rifle grade plates for the officers really exceeded the need for the body wire, since we had a body wire that was working. And so that's why. Granted, most of us have cars that are newer than that body wire equipment that we have, but we could get by. And so if, as I told the city manager, if for some reason we are not approved for the grant this year, then I'll use asset forfeiture money to go ahead and purchase that equipment.
Were you over or under budget last year?
We were under budget,
How much?
roughly 170,000, I believe,
Okay.
roughly.
And how much is this gonna help save the city if we get this? How much is it? It says zero here, I mean, how
How
much will
much
we
the
get from
grant?
the state or from whoever? How much is this grant, how much will we get? Do we know?
We won't know until they award it to us. It could be a partial grant again, or it could be a full grant.
It could be from what to what?
How much did we get last year? Do you recall, how much did we get last year, do you recall?
The original grant we applied for was 52,000, we were awarded 25. So we bought
Yes,
crime
sir.
scene, lighting, and we bought ballistic protection.
And this is a statewide grant, so every department in the state's in the running if they apply.
That's correct, if they apply.
Sound like a pretty good deal to me. Pretty good investment.
I'm gonna say it's free money, because
Yeah.
we all pay for it with
Right.
taxes, but
I mean, I've said this several times, I can get real liberal on this one. I'm voting for it. That's what I've said before.
Okay, we have a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve this, where is it?
I'll second the motion.
Resolution R17-66.
I'll second the motion, sorry.
Motion was made by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Commissioner Castler to approve resolution number R-17-66 for adoption. Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Next item is discussion on city employee residency requirements. City Manager Kendall Francis will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, again, this is a holdover from the last meeting as well. We had, it was brought forward that we needed to look at our current residency requirements and the possibility of expanding them. And from our last meeting, you requested that we seek citizen input, which we did through social media. We encouraged people to attend tonight to give their opinions. We did have some feedback on our Facebook page as to people's feelings about expanding the residency requirements, and I think at best it was probably a 50-50 type of deal. There were some that were, pretty passionate in both ways, but I've had some people contact me directly, and probably the handful that have expressed, a willingness that they thought expanding it somewhat would be beneficial and acceptable. And then, I don't know if, we asked that they contact you directly, so maybe some have, but we want to come forward tonight, and we did not bring any recommendations. I did, in your packet, you'll see some possibilities that I thought were options for what we could do with it. Just for public knowledge, the current boundaries is the USD 445 school district, and then there are some employees who are subject to a response time by their MOAs, and that's 30 minutes. And specifically, those would be police, fire, and I believe the electrical distribution, and also some of the public service, the water and wastewater distribution. I believe we're also subject to that response time currently. In my notes to you, the three options that I talked about, one was status quo, and simply choose not to do anything. But also some of the information I provided was some information that Chief Bromley had gathered from other area law enforcement agencies as to their response, or as to their residency requirements, and pretty much across the board, all of them had, over the last few years, had loosened their requirements to try to stay competitive for recruiting. And if we keep status quo, then I think that puts us behind everybody else. So we need to look at doing something to help level the playing field as far as recruiting not only police officers but employees in general. And obviously police officers and electric linemen are two, journeyman linemen specifically, are really our two areas that we have the hardest time recruiting. I do not personally believe that opening the boundaries will solve this problem completely, but it does put us on a more even playing field with the rest of the communities around us. The other two options that I spoke to you about was to expand it to the entirety of Montgomery County, and in doing so, a couple of things that I think are beneficial to that are that it gives a defined boundary. It's clear cut. If we have a new employee come, request where they can live, we can say, here's the line. You can't cross this. If you're on this side of the line, you're okay. If you're on this side, you're not. But we still have the employees who are subject to a response time. And if we don't adjust that response time, then we have done nothing to increase that living, that portion of it. So
Unless we go into Oklahoma.
Unless we went out of county, yeah. But if you stay in county with the same response time,
right.
you have not really increased it for some of those positions that really was what generated this discussion. And so now that's a decision that commission needs to make. You need to decide what is a response time that you're comfortable with if we're talking an emergency situation. In my notes, I recommended nothing more than 40 minutes. I think that does, if you were to stay in Montgomery County, that gives you access to every municipality in Montgomery County. Elk City, although I've never been there, you could not do that, but you could comfortably get to Caney, Independence, Cherryvale, the larger municipalities. And then the final option was to just open it to a response time. Again, probably 40 minutes at the maximum, but not have any, but also I said only Kansas. I still have just personal heartburn, for lack of a better word, to opening it to other states. But that's just my personal opinion.
Well, it'd only be Oklahoma. It wouldn't be it'd be open.
That's true.
We got one state we're talking about.
But if we were to remove the county boundaries, that would open it up into portions of Labette County, which would, I've had some employees indicate that would, there are some areas there that they would, like to live. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. The problem with not having a defined boundary is explaining it to new employees, and there's got to be someone who is the final say for, yes, you can live here, or that's within a legal distance, or no, it's not. And so that makes it a little bit hard to manage. We have capabilities of tracking response times, so on the management side and the disciplinary sides, we will need to be tracking those so that we're in accordance with our MOAs. So I guess I would just open it up to questions, or like I said, whatever the commission's direction, that's really what we need to hear.
Can you describe what response time is? It's not driving here, it's,
No, I don't believe it's driving here. What I believe response time is, the minute you put down the phone after receiving the call that you're needed, the clock starts. And that you would have that response time to be able to legally respond to your duty station. I think that's probably, that is another point we need to clarify. Where are we saying you have to respond to? Is it your duty station? Is it, do we pick City Hall as the central address? Do we pick the city limits? Do we pick 616 Spring Street, and that's where distribution is located for the electric linemen? But we just need some clarification on that.
But a response time is basically fantasy land, because you can't, folks don't sit at their house waiting for the phone to ring. They have lives. They go somewhere. Other folks have multiple houses. They may have a house here and a house down in another jurisdiction. There's nothing that requires a person to stay at that particular house. So the response time is just kind of how do you enforce that? What are you gonna do to me? I wasn't at home. The thing is that's just a kind of a make you feel good kind of thing, that they're within 30 or 40 minutes. But in reality,
there are penalties for not meeting the requirements of the MOA. So absolutely, there are disciplines set in place for that.
Well, it's a can of worms.
Yeah, I think.
And if you call them, you call
I
what,
think you'd have a hard time enforcing that.
On a Friday night, somebody's in Tulsa,
Yeah.
and their emergency responder, they're out there on a date night. It's hard to it would be hard to,
We have those situations that apply right now. We have a response time right now that we deal with, even in the 445 school district. So that's in place. It's not something that we're trying to add. Now, it would have to be adjusted more than likely.
well, I get that we have people that are on call. For example, our electric utilities. We have people that stay in town on the weekends because there's potential there's an outage. Do we have that with the fire department and the police department, though? That we mandate that we have emergency responders?
If they're on call, are they compensated for being on call?
And these people aren't on call. They have a response time. They're not on call.
But you can't, but what I'm getting at here is you can't restrict their movement if you don't compensate them, right? So they're not required to be sitting at the house waiting for you to call and have that 30-minute response
They're
time if you don't compensate them for doing
I
that.
didn't say it was a 30-minute response time necessarily from their house, but, when they respond, it is that 30 minutes.
I guess my question would be so if you call them and they say, I'm sorry, I'm in Topeka.
Right.
So then they're, okay, we understand. Then we call the next person in
Yes.
line.
Yes.
Gotcha.
okay, I got a question. Do you guys track this?
I believe that, yes, we do, and
Okay.
it's easier in some aspects, and not to pick on police, but it is easier for them because when they've responded, you know, they've called in to dispatch to say that, you know, that they're on the scene or whatever, and that time is lost.
So
you know,
HR is kind of yoked up to this thing,
So-
and you guys will know if there's a problem with somebody, and once you figure out there's a problem, then you start documenting it. And how many times a year, on average, do they get called in?
I couldn't even begin to
Yeah.
answer that. I
I,
really don't
you know, like I said, this is a can of worms. If we want to increase our employment pool area, like every other business in town, or most of them, I said the big businesses, a lot of them. I made this comment the other day that, you know, my company needs people in Oklahoma, they need people all over, and and we're having a heck of a time finding people. This has been the conversation with the police department and everybody, to me, we need to open this thing up. That's my opinion. I know there's people that don't think so, you know, but I think we need to figure it out. I don't think we need to make a decision tonight. I think we need some more time, and I think we need to do that. That was been my deal all along. I think we need to do something.
Well, I would agree
Yep.
that we need to do something to open it up, and that's what we're asking
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
To tell us
Well-
what you would like to see.
So I have a question.
Okay?
My question earlier still stands. I wanted to know, for the people that are on call, are they compensated to be on call?
I don't think we said, if they're on call, yes, but not everyone's on call, technically on call.
Okay. So if you're on call, you're compensated to be on call?
Yeah.
Okay. The second question, or the second thing that I have is that I agree we need to do something. I don't know if I'm willing to go all in yet with going into Oklahoma, but I am gonna propose that we make it a 30-mile response time from Coffeyville.
30
Mile.
minute?
30-mile
30 mile.
response time. And the thing is that you said that it would be hard to justify, or how do you tell what 30-mile is? 30-mile is Google Maps.
As a crow flies?
It's not 30 minutes, it's not a time-based situation.
30
a mile.
miles.
It's a mileage.
Well, let me,
Radius,
Yep.
maybe.
let's discuss this a little bit, because
And then you're-
if you have a situation that occurs that you need to call an officer in for help, and you don't have a defined time period that they need to be on site, yes, they live 30 miles away, but if it takes them 2 hours to show up,
Right.
that's a problem.
Yep.
30 miles, or like you said, 30 miles or 40 minutes.
Okay.
So 30 miles and 40-minute response time.
30 miles is a long way.
So Chris,
30 miles is a long ways.
so
I
you're saying extend this into
Labette.
Labette, over by Edna?
This would not get you to Elk City. This would not get you to Neoda Shea.
How far north would it get you?
It would
Just
get
north?
you to approximately Sycamore
Sycamore?
North. It would get you approximately,
How far past?
probably Elk City Lake. It would get you to Cherryville. It gets you to Edna. It gets you to Chitopa, Mountain Valley, and just on the outskirts of Altamont.
Yeah, I'm thinking 25 miles. You're talking a radius, right? Like a circle,
With the
25.
exception of Oklahoma.
Right.
Yeah.
I think 30's fine.
I think 25 miles is far enough, but
25?
you know more about this
I'm good
kind of
with
thing than I do. I'll
Are you
admit
good with
that.
25?
And
I think 25 is a
Where
limit.
would that be from? 25 miles from where?
From
From the epicenter of, from our
From
City
farthest
Hall?
border, or?
Yeah, from
City
City
Hall.
Hall,
From City Hall.
a radius. Because 25 miles like that, you're gonna be traveling, some people, 30, 40 miles. If you go this way and this way, you know, squares, you add, I mean, 25-mile radius might mean 32 or 3 or 4 miles.
25 miles sounds good to me.
You know, I think we need to talk about it for another, I think that we need it open for discussion. I haven't heard but maybe from one person. I've lost track. I think one has talked to me about it.
Yep.
I think this is a big enough deal
I,
that we need to talk about it for a few
I feel it's been
weeks.
kicked down the can. The can has been kicked down the road long enough, and something needs done. I know people say, well, it's a week, but we've been discussing this. This has been brought up before. I think can be a detrimental answer. And if you want to go with, I'm great with 30 because it's a round number, and expand it just a little bit more, but but I just want to, I want to expand it because it seems to me this is an archaic deal, and you know, if it's good for independence, I don't see why we're holding back.
It's gonna require 2 readings of an ordinance, so it's gonna be a month down the road.
Well, but if we do it now, it'll start going.
The other thing
Good
that,
point, Paul.
I'm good with either one of the two.
the other thing that I would say is, we are trying to hire some people, or we want to get some ads out, so we need to have something to be able to start telling
It's
people.
whatever you,
I'm good with 25.
I'm good with 25.
Jim's good with 25? You got 4 for 25, make up the ordinance. And the other thing is you can set the policy, don't take the cars out of the,
Yeah, that's
See,
internal.
And
Yep.
40-minute response time.
25
Right.
miles, 40-minute, then 40-minute response.
well, what about department heads?
Department heads, we can tackle that. You're right. Exception, city manager and department heads need to live inside the city limits. With the exception of, that's where I'm at.
And that follows suit with a lot of what we read with the other,
And
other
the-
cities that are around us, that department heads and city managers have to live within the,
Well,
And I
I
will
absolutely agree with the city manager.
I will throw in we'll grandfather all the ones that are in outside now.
Okay, but that opens up something else. Now that you've allowed employees to migrate out, when it comes time for those employees to, be promoted, and,
And that's.
six of the 9 department heads or
Right.
senior staff right now can retire in 4 years. 4 of the 6, their deputies can retire at the same time.
Right.
So we're gonna have a lot of movement into that area, or need for that. So you're allowing them to move outside the current district, but then to be able to take a promotion, you're gonna ask them to move back into the city limits, and quite honestly, for no additional pay, because.
I asked you for a list of all the department heads and their salaries and benefits. There's a
Correct.
significant increase between your middle people and a department head. I can read all the salaries and the benefits.
And I can show you that
And-
there are
and the thing-
employees who make more than,
And the thing is if
7
they
of them.
want to be a department head, they know taking that position that they need to move to town.
couldn't we compromise and leave it at the 445 school district that it
Perfect.
is now?
Yep.
Perfect.
I would be okay with that.
I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
I got a question from somebody. How do you record response time in an emergency?
Like I said, we know when dispatch has placed the call, that's
Okay.
logged.
Okay.
And, like a police officer responds when they're on the scene.
Right.
They respond to dispatch when they're on the scene. That is also logged.
Okay, and we don't pay anymore, we don't pay more for this. We're not paying more. That's another question from the public.
Well, that's really complicated, because yes, they are paid more, but it's all outlined in the MOA that,
Do we pay them as soon as they start, the clock start, when they start this way, is that?
let me clarify. Marilyn, when does the clock, the pay start? It's when the call is placed, right? Yeah, when the call is, yeah. Just wanted to clarify that. Yeah, we start the clock.
So the longer they take to get here, the more they make. I got it. Yep, okay.
That's what we're deciding
Any
on?
other questions?
Nope.
So just to
Yeah, can we
recap,
recap? I want to make
Yep.
sure that we have everything listed.
25 miles,
Yep.
40 minutes,
And
city, department head, city manager inside the city limits,
Yeah,
department
department
heads
heads
within
445.
USD 445.
Correct.
Vehicles out of town are subject to
an
policy.
internal policy.
Yep.
Is that correct? That is correct, right?
And just to clarify a couple things,
Take on vehicles, we can handle internal policy.
just to clarify a couple things, we're not gonna see some of the hysteria on the social media. We're not gonna see city vehicles in Elk City. We're not gonna see
Right.
city vehicles in
Independence.
Independence. if there's a response that needs to happen and they live out wherever, within 25 miles in another community, they can get here and grab their response vehicle.
Yep. Okay.
What about, this is, I mean, it's just, what about a 30, can you, Marilyn, I'm asking you probably this, but can we just max the pay at 30 minutes? We have to pay the 30 minutes back? How's it on the other end? Do we pay the 30 minutes back?
No, that's all negotiated in the
Okay,
MOAs.
okay.
So that.
Okay, it's negotiable, I got it, that's fair.
So in some situations now, we could be paying 20, 25 minutes for response time anyway, correct? I mean, USD 445, I mean, that's still a
Right.
distance.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes 15 minutes to drive from North the Industrial Park, so, and that's USD 445, so.
Okay, do we
I
pay
mean-
going back the other direction on that?
No, I don't believe, no.
No, okay.
All right.
Okay, I just wondered.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on to resolution number R-17-68, a resolution to approve a memorandum of agreement with Mueller Construction. City Manager Kendall Francis.
Wait a minute, back up. This thing, you're gonna get it ready for the next, it's gonna be read twice.
Right.
So the public here all knows, and we've got writers out here, that there is there's a public comment time and then come back. Did we have anyone in the public that want to talk about it here, or did they talk about it later? They can talk now if they want, right?
I would think that they could, yeah. if you-
Okay.
if you so choose.
And then, of course, they'll have time to talk the next two meetings.
Correct.
That's
Okay,
correct.
so everybody knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
can go
Nobody
home and
wants to come
digest it.
forward? Good enough. Thank you.
All right, moving on to resolution number R-17-68, a resolution to approve a memorandum of agreement with Mueller Construction. City Manager Kendall Francis will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, before you is an agreement to, it's an agreement to, with Mueller Construction for the demolition of the the Walmart building on Sunflower Walmart, is loosely how we're calling it. And I'll be honest, I lost my note here, so. Wow. Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure I was telling you the correct information.
Yep.
That the agreement is that we are going to trade, for lack of a better term, a piece of property that the city currently owns at 166 and 5300 Road for the agreement to hold the demolition price of the Sunflower Walmart at what was agreed upon a year ago. And then we chose not to do that. Obviously, there was going to be some cost increase incurred to do that demolition. And the piece of property that we're referring to it's a less than an acre of land that is surrounded currently by property owned by Mueller Construction, and has no real development property possibilities for the city. Access would be limited only through Mr. Mueller's property, and so we just made an agreement that in order to hold that price the same, that we would allow him that property, and then he's going to clean it up, fence it off, and he is an excellent city partner, so he's going to take good care of that, and it will be then placed back on the tax roll.
Yep. Is there any value on the property? I mean, what's the value of it?
And
Much of anything?
$275,000.
there was 3 pieces of property that were purchased at one time. It was that piece of property, a very small portion across the road north, and then the outlots around Walmart for $257,000.
257.
So that is a portion of it. Does it have some value? Yes.
It's going to go back on the tax roll?
It would be limited, and I would, I'm willing to say that the money saved in the demo of the Sunflower Walmart would be equal to the price of that property, especially when it really has no value to the city.
Right.
I think it's fair to say that we should have never bought that property, and I don't know who was involved in it. Don't really care, huh?
If it's a thing I'm talking about, there are some other things said at the time, and it is what it is, I agree, but it is, and things were different at the time, so
Were you here?
I believe I was.
It was November of 2013 is when we purchased those 3 pieces of property.
It's what I think you're talking about was, but
Anyway, it doesn't make any difference.
fast.
I think we ought to do the deal.
Yep.
We need, I mean, we're not ever gonna use it. Doesn't look like we're ever gonna use it.
And really, there isn't a way for us to use it. It's right there at the corner. We would have, KDOT would not allow us access off of 166. And because it's divided there on 5300, as you turn south off of 166 is a divided road. The only access would be coming north on 5300, and then you would have to cross Mr. Muller's property to get into that portion.
Have we had any interest in the other property that we bought during this same time?
Yes, the outlots around Walmart, we have had interest. And the other piece of property, it is really the controlled access for a piece of property owned by Dean Strimple, and he is currently trying to sell that couple of acres of property. So he has visited with the city about trying to figure out how we can best access his property if it were to be sold. Like I said, I wasn't here, so I'm not privy to why we ended up with that little chunk of land. But just from me looking from the outside, it looks like that we were trying to control access to that property. So,
Any other questions?
So basically, what you're saying is the property at 5300 and 160 on the east side is worthless. We can't do anything with it.
it would be difficult without a partnership with Mr. Moeller. I mean,
And the property on 5300 north of 166 on the east side, next to Mr. Strimple's property is also,
Yeah, and I don't even know
Worthless or what?
exactly how big it is, but it's far less than an acre. It's a very small piece of property. Again, I don't know why
so if we purchase
Talk about that one.
what, the other land that we purchased next to Walmart and these 2 pieces of property for a total of $257,000, if that was divided up into acreage, how much would these 2 pieces of land be worth if we paid $257,000 for it? No, I don't think so. I think that was all the,
North of 166.
right.
That was a separate.
Okay, when was that purchased? And who was it purchased by?
all 3 pieces were.
I think the north piece was purchased from a guy named Doug Dewey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was just these 2?
It was just those 2.
It's these two down here
The
that-
one west of Walmart and the one east of Walmart
That one's for sale.
Right,
Those
but
two.
not this one.
This one was purchased separately.
by Doug.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so it was a misunderstanding on my part. I thought all 3 pieces that were outlined on the map were purchased at the same time. It's
See,
just,
that's 2 outlots, so that's the
okay,
one, 2.
so that's the 3. So it's the outlots around Walmart and then the piece there, 53 and
How
166.
did we end up with this
Northeast
one up
side
here?
or
That's
southeast
Doug
side.
Dewey.
I know, but how did we end up with that one?
That one on the north side, north and east side of
I
the,
don't know the question.
166.
I don't know the answer to
So,
that.
58.
so he's getting the one, we're selling the one that's got red around it right here. right?
Correct. Correct. Now, as far as the worth of that, that property around Walmart, worth $257,000. I mean, if it were to develop, that's that's prime real estate, so it's probably worth that.
It's a prime buddy deal's what it was.
I can't speak to that,
Yeah.
so.
I know.
Anyway, I move to approve the resolution 17-68.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-17-68 for adoption. Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Resolution number R-17-69, a resolution to purchase furniture from Midwest Office Supply. City Manager Kendall Francis will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, staff solicited bids for office furniture to outfit the new emergency services facility and City Hall. And Midwest Office was the low bidder, the total of $201,751.88 installed. They've specified Hahn brand furniture, which is a leading manufacturer and offers a lifetime warranty. Hahn offers government pricing, which is 61% discount off the list price, but because of the volume of furniture that we have ordered or we are asking to order, they agreed to negotiate a little better discount and are offering us a 64% discount off our list price. In 2012 and 2013, the city had some foresight and set aside $300,000 each year from the electric utility fund, with the idea or knowing that once these projects were completed, they would need furniture and some of the associated things to go with it, fixtures, to outfit both buildings. And so, you know, that's the funding source. $24,615 has been expended from that total, and that went to some blade servers, some IT related things, some cabling and stuff for City Hall that was needed to be purchased. We do have some additional purchases that we are anticipating, and I've broken those down there in my staff report. And also, the final piece to this is that in visiting with Judge Collins, I knew that there was a need for them to get some new furniture, specifically for one of their offices and for the jury room. I discussed with him the possibility of the county piggybacking off the substantial savings that we were getting, allow them to buy new furniture at the cost that we had negotiated. And so they had also visited with Midwest and outlined a cost and the needs that they would have. And it comes to an additional $18,325.80, which the county would then reimburse the city for that expenditure. But it's going to allow them to make the furniture purchases they need at a considerable savings to their budget. Also, Rick from Midwest is here tonight if you would have questions of him about anything. The way it is set up now, because we have two different move-in dates, the furniture for the emergency services would be drop shipped to there and installed there, and then when we're ready for City Hall, the second shipment would be drop shipped there, and their installers would install the furniture there.
And these prices include them coming in and setting it all up?
Yes, that is included. There should be a breakdown in your packet.
Yeah, I'm looking
of
at
the furniture and the installation.
Okay, I just didn't see where it said installation on it.
Got anything to say, Rick?
I don't blame you.
Well, you saved us some money. I'd like to know how come you're 20% cheaper than everybody else.
And again, like you said, that HON has government pricing. That's
why.
already negotiated long before. But again, they did agree to do a little bit better just because of the volume that we were ordering.
Outfitting the
Now,
whole
I'll also
facility,
let you know that
too.
the furniture that we are currently utilizing will be redistributed to some other city facilities.
Okay.
But there are some that is just beyond, it needs to be thrown away. And some of the other city offices and buildings are utilizing furniture that probably needs to be thrown away. So we're going to, like I said, redistribute the stuff that is good and utilize it in different facilities. But these two new facilities, we think that it should reflect, the professionalism, and it should reflect that we're a $90 million corporation, which the city is.
Yep.
And so when you walk into a new building, it should look like it.
The employees ought to be real happy they're getting all new furniture. I mean, seriously. Because
What?
a lot of businesses can't afford new furniture, and I know the money's, you and I talked about it before the meeting, and it's gonna be a nice facility, and I agree with you, it ought to have new furniture, but everybody ought to be real happy about it, I guess, what I'm saying. It's gonna
Well,
be nice. It's gonna be very nice. Nice place to work.
And the employees don't take it for granted. They're, absolutely, they're gonna be happy that they get some new stuff. And it would just take a quick look around at some of the stuff that is currently in City Hall and especially in the police department, that is well beyond worn out.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution R17-69.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Castler and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve resolution number R-17-69 for adoption. Commissioner Taylor.
All right.
Commissioner Williams. Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
City managers report.
Okay, as we were just talking about buildings, I'll just give you a quick update on how things are progressing. City Hall, electricians will be there tomorrow. Kelly Electric is doing the electric on both buildings, and so they're finishing up at emergency service and will be moving to City Hall. Door frames are something we've been waiting on, and they'll arrive Friday. That's going to allow we start to do some of the electrical work, because they will be access controlled, electronic locks and things like that. So we've been waiting on those to arrive, and also city staff, specifically Chris Felix and his staff, will be doing the low voltage wiring in both buildings. So he'll be trying to cram both of those buildings into one time. So as far as the work that is progressing over there, the framing is done. They will be putting up some steel to support the stairway that goes from third floor down to second floor. We've been having to work around the court schedule a little bit. When we're trying to drill through floors and hang ductwork and things like that, it does disturb the courtroom above. And so contractors are working with Judge Collins and his staff to make sure that we're limiting our disruptions, and Judge and I speak frequently to try to make sure that we're not putting them in a bind. The work in the courtroom upstairs has been done. They just need to finish the texturing and painting of the walls upstairs. We are finding some challenges. We have a lot of duct work and a lot of new plumbing that's having to be fit to a tight space above the ceiling, and so it is creating some challenges in a couple of areas, but they seem to be making adjustments and figuring out a little bit as they go. Of course, we're trying to keep it above the ceiling and ceiling above the windows, and so all those things, we're trying to put those puzzle pieces together. The emergency service building continues to move along very nicely, and I'm sure you've seen that we've closed down a lane of traffic in front of it as they've done the curb cuts where the apparatus bay is. We expect to have one lane of traffic there for about 2 weeks as they do the concrete work and prepare for that. Begin at our last construction update, we're still looking probably just Thanksgiving or just shortly after for completion of that facility. So, we had mentioned Walmart, obviously, the Sunflower Walmart, and speaking with Mr. Moeller, they're waiting on some paperwork to be returned from the state, and they anticipate it here in the next week or two. By the 27th, he said he thought the state would be able to turn this paperwork around, allow them to mobilize, and then move in for demolition of that facility.
The timeline for when it'll be done?
Pardon me?
Is there a timeline for when it'll be done?
I didn't ask him how long he anticipated it would take him. I'll visit with him and I'll try to get you an answer.
It won't take long, I can tell you that.
Probably not. I would
a shell.
anticipate not.
Couple of weeks, probably.
Yeah. City-county collaboration meetings are continuing. We're meeting every month. There is a subcommittee who's putting together a presentation. They will be going to each of the governing body meetings and giving a presentation as to the progress we've made over the last year, the things we're working on, the areas that we're focusing on. We'd met yesterday as we're starting to put these things together, and we anticipate probably November for us. I mean, they're trying to plan them out as far as the meetings go, so they will come present to a commission meeting. We're anticipating probably November, maybe the first meeting in November. Highway 169 Coalition is kind of an effort that's a little bit spearheaded by Montgomery County Action Council, and we're trying to form a formal coalition to petition for improvements to the 169 corridor from KC to Coffeyville and even further south. So we've had some discussions with the Port of Catoosa and ODOT about kind of a regional partnership on how can we, put some pressure to get some funding to improve 169, and that's not just government entities or our private people that are coming to the table in these meetings, and like I said, we're meeting about monthly now, trying to put together some bylaws and figure out how the best way to approach this is. But it will be beneficial, if we can get some, whether it be a Super 2 with some passing lanes, or the ultimate goal would be a 4-lane divided highway from here to Kansas City. But that may, that's a ways down the road. But trying to start putting some lobbying power behind these requests. So that's forming. Couple of projects we got going here in the city. Our Clink project, that's the improvements from Buckeye to the west city limits. We're waiting on some submittals back on the stormwater boxes, and as soon as we receive those, we'll look to proceed. Probably in the next couple of weeks. We'd like to say by October 1st for sure that would be mobilizing and starting that work on that. So that'll be something, and when we start doing that, we'll make certain that we're really getting the word out and visiting with businesses that are along that corridor, so that we're working with them so that they're not affected by the work. The police department is reviewing intersections. They've for whether or not they need to be controlled, as far as stop signs, yield signs, things like that. They've went through what we would call basically the East Coffeyville redevelopment area, and made some determinations of, as what signage needs to be there and what can be removed. And then Public Service is going about taking care of making those changes. Now they've shifted, they're looking at the central part of the city right now. Again, they're just evaluating intersections. If they're controlled, do they need to be? If they're not controlled, should they be? Making those determinations. And as those changes occur, we'll be kind of putting the word out too, because, you know, maybe all of a sudden there's no longer a stop sign where you think there used to be, or now there is one where there hadn't been. So we'll do everything we can to make certain that the public's aware of that. The surface seal, Donaldson Construction, they anticipated finishing tonight, definitely this week. There's probably a few spots that they'll need to hit, you know, re-hit tomorrow and the next couple of days. So, but they'll be done by the end of the week. Wanted to let you know the annual citywide cleanup will be October 9th through the 15th. So, once we get a little closer to that, we'll get times out for the hours for the tree dump and things like that. And but we've already had some people start inquiring about that, so I just want people to know it is coming. It'll be here in about a month. A couple other things going on, candidate forums. There will be 3 of them. The first one will be September 25th, and that's hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, and it will be right here in the Senior Citizen Center, and it's going to be 6 p.m. We will be televising it on Channel 13, and it's my understanding to kind of be a meet and greet for all the candidates, not just City Commission, but there are for both USD 445 and the college. And then KGGF and Windsor Place is sponsoring 2 other candidate forums, and those will be October 9th and October 16th. Both of those will start at 6 o'clock, and those will be at the Windsor Event Center. And it's my understanding that KGGF will be broadcasting those on the radio. The MAC, Montgomery County Action Council's 3rd quarter meeting is September 21st, 5:30, and it's in Independence. If you guys are interested in attending, let me know. I'll RSVP for you, and I'll try to send out an email to you to remind you of that. This weekend is the League of Municipalities Annual Conference in Wichita. I know Commissioner Taylor has signed up to go, and I will be attending as well. I really think that's probably the highlights, and if you had questions.
Questions?
I don't have any questions on that.
No questions? So at this time, take comments from the public. The public is free to comment on items not listed on the agenda. Please address comments to the commission as a body and be mindful of others who also wish to speak by limiting your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners and everybody. The farmer's market is still in full swing. Okra, tomatoes, onions, all sorts of goodies. I hope to have some of these there Saturday. If you can't tell, this is a pear that weighs about a half a pound, and I have pears that weigh a pound apiece. Of course, I have smaller ones too, if you prefer smaller ones. And I don't sell them, I give them away. Okay?
You'll have
so-
everyone there now.
If I can get them picked.
There you go.
That's a job. But we do invite you to come out and see the goodies that they have. We have a farmer that's coming in now from up by Independence, and he has the most beautiful array of vegetables you will ever see. None of the grocery stores can beat what he shows, and it is delicious. So come to the farmer's market. We meet on Tuesday afternoons from 4 to 7, and on Saturday mornings from 7 to 11, and that's at Walter Johnson Park.
Thank you,
See ya.
Mary.
Jason Davis, live at 107 Highland. I just wanted to come out. You guys had asked for the public to come out and give you guys an opinion on the residency requirements, and I want to just say that what you guys talked about tonight, I agree with. I think it should be expanded, and it looks like you're moving in the right direction, in my opinion. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Jason, how do you feel about Oklahoma?
I don't see a problem with someone commuting if they're a qualified applicant and a good worker. Why should they not be able to, live in Juan or something? Maybe they've got a family or a farm down there. They don't want to pick up and move.
Right, where do you work?
The police department.
Are you, okay, so I wasn't sure. Okay, good. Okay, good. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else? This time I'll make a motion to move to recess to executive session to discuss.
Comments from commissioners.
Oh, sorry.
From commissioners and staff.
Comments from commissioners and staff. Got ahead of myself. I think Chris is ready to talk.
Anybody got any comments from commissioners or staff?
Well,
You can go first.
You go ahead, because I'm going to save mine for the last.
Okay. All right, I along myself and some other people have started a Coffeyville cleanup day, and that is usually on Wednesdays at 6:30. It is every other Wednesday. We pick a spot and we go clean it up. The last time we went to Feaster Park area and picked up a good amount of trash there. I want to invite public out to do that. But one of the things that I noticed out there was there's a lot of dumping. We saw a chair dump. First one more question, is there a fine for people if you see them dumping?
Yeah, there would be.
Okay, I'm just,
And where did you see the chair?
behind Feaster Park, on that road that goes behind it.
Okay. Okay.
Is there a way for us to, under the city dump, is there a way to have a canister somewhere out in town where people can drop off stuff like that instead, or is there a way to curtail that? I haven't been on River Road, I haven't been down that road in a while, but I know there's a lot of dumping and trash going on Roosevelt Drive.
And some of that isn't actually in the city limits, it's actually in the county. The option, I mean, we do have the tree dump where, I mean, but I mean,
Bulk pickup days.
we have bulk pickup, I mean, we do have that, so,
It's only
the other
once-
options would be
once a month.
construction type dumpsters that we would have to, we would have to find a place to set. I mean, obviously it would be a charge to the city for doing so. That would take a little bit of thought on how to best do
It does seem to
something
be
like
a consistent problem, though. I mean, I think I sent you some pictures of some dumping that took place, and I know that it wasn't on city property necessarily, but if they would have had to take a place to take it, maybe you could alleviate some of that. Now, I'm sure it's not gonna get rid of all of it,
But like we indicated,
Old habits die
we do
hard.
have bulky pickup, so, I
True.
mean, we give them a way to get rid of it, so
Some
are these
people just-
people not residents and,
Yeah.
Some people just don't wanna, probably because it's only once a month is maybe part of the problem. Yes,
Yeah.
and I don't think people realize that. Maybe that's some information you can give out as well on
we could
Facebook.
look to, kind of hit that information again, let them know that there is bulky pickup, that you can call for special pickups and then those types of things.
Yep.
We have some options in place.
Yeah, that's just one thing I would touch on.
Really, the one thing I wanted to say is, I know we've talked a lot about social media in the last few meetings, and I think over the course of the last month, our social media has really shown a lot of the things that we're doing right around Coffeyville. I mean, I think Cindy's doing a good job on posting the streets that are gonna be done, that are gonna be worked on with the ceiling. A lot of people commented to me about that. Hey, I really like being able to get on there at the city of Coffeyville, posted that these are the streets that are gonna be closed. They just didn't show up to their house one day and the streets were blocked off. They had the awareness. Some of the things that you posted today with the pictures of people painting things and just the activities that are going on, even the projects that you talked about with the street signs, being posted on there, shows the community that we're moving forward and we're taking care of the small things that kind of, a lot of times get overlooked, but it's the finishing touches.
Okay.
So, good job. I think that shows a lot of what's going on, because if we don't post it out there, a lot of people just take it for granted we're not doing anything. I know we are, but we don't always see it that way.
Well, those, I mean, that goes to Cindy. I mean, she's the one that is,
had a lot of things going on lately, so.
right.
Absolutely.
We
So we've
have.
had a lot of positive things to post, and I think that is a very good thing. You know, keep them coming.
Okay, I'll go next, because you want to go last. I want to give a kudo to the candidates that are here tonight that are running for city commission. It's nice to see them show up and start learning what's going on, and I think they ought to get a little recognition for it. Of course, we have Chris Williams and Paul Bauer that are sitting here with me, and Anna Marie Van Oster, James Faulkner, and Pam Jones are sitting out there. And I think the public ought to know who's showing up to see what's going on. That's all I say, that's all I've got. You're up, Chris.
First item, how are the folks in Florida?
Doing well. They're working a lot, and I think I was told this morning about 18-hour days. So, but they are making progress. They're still, last I heard, in Florida, in total of Florida, about 7 million people out. But in Orlando, where they were dispatched, that number is shrinking considerably. KMU is taking requests for a second wave of mutual aid response, and so I'd like to think we could get them home here in maybe a week to 10 days, because at those types of hours is, you know,
It's tough.
that wears on
So
people.
who's down there, police, fire, who tells the public will know?
It's our electric distribution.
Okay.
We have 3 linemen there. Bruce Kane, White Corsair, and Jared Ward, excuse me. So they have been there just
Left last Thursday.
So not quite a week. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but the first few days were just staging, really, and a lot of safety meetings and getting to understand what they would be dealing with and how they were going to approach it, kind of their game plan. A lot of things that are happening down there that people wouldn't think about. Some of the other, whether you're dealing with snakes and spiders and things that you may not normally be dealing with, looting, you know, is a concern. And so those are just, and then you got the storm to deal with. The conditions aren't very good. The hotel that they're at has no power, has no air conditioning, and it's hot in Florida. And so can't open the windows. Hot meals are hard to come by, and so they're not down there on vacation by any means.
But they're safe and they're doing good work.
They are, absolutely.
Okay, second item, city's looking better. I don't want to dwell on that a whole lot, but we touched on that last time. I agree with Mayor Bauer, the little things, looking better. Third and final thing, I want to broach the topic next meeting of minimum rental standards. Put it on the agenda for discussion, please. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the commissioner staff?
That's it.
Oh, I got one more, I forgot. I almost forgot. Judy Bredesen spoke here last meeting 3 weeks ago about a little event that's at the First United Methodist Church this coming Friday, or the September 15th and 16th, which is what, this coming?
Friday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday. Friday and Saturday. Friday from 1 to 5, Saturday 4 to 6. It's called Moving from Conceptions to Actions. It's, a lot of you know about it, some of you don't. It's about racial justice in community and churches. The leader, Reverend Michelle Leader, is with the Commission on Race and Religion from Washington, D.C. will be there. This is sponsored by Pinch. I don't know Pinch, but I've heard a little bit about it. I really don't know it, but she asked me to mention that, and then I did so.
Yeah.
I told her it'd be better if she'd show up because she could answer some questions, but I told her I'd be glad to mention it. That's all I've got.
Okay.
Pinch is People for Institutional
Communal harmony.
Communal harmony.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. This time I'll make a motion to recess to executive session, discuss an employee's performance evaluation pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exception to reconvene in the commission room at,
Let's do a 5-minute break before that,
okay, 5-minute break?
then do that.
Okay.
In the 15
Commission room at 8:30. We'll take a 5-minute break prior to that. So we'll start at 8.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer, seconded by Commissioner Williams to recess to executive session, discussing employees' performance evaluation pursuant to the non-elected. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Andy.